You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ryan England, and today's Titan is someone in the manufacturing space working for an international global company that most of us, if you're not in manufacturing, have probably never heard of. But their footprint is everywhere. They create the power systems that power the manufacturing plants that create the products that we use every single day. And they have had phenomenal growth because of their employer brand, because of the way they think about their people, and because of the way they communicate their why. I want to introduce today's guest, Matt Paul. He's the Director of Power Systems for Dynapower. Let's jump in. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So I'm going to say it now just so everybody knows, but this is your first podcast ever. Is that right?
First podcast ever. Yep.
I love it. And we already spent a few minutes talking. You're a pro already. Like, this is going to be easy.
Appreciate
what I want you to do is just share with our listeners a little bit, just gush a little bit about Dynapower, what you guys are doing. Just share a little bit of your story.
Yeah, for sure. Dynapower is a global manufacturing business of power electronics. Been around for over 60 years, leader in the market. Really specializing in custom equipment we're 30 different countries, 50 different countries now, 8 to 10 different primary markets. Really focused on bringing efficiency to manufacturing across the globe, as well as our defense industries and clean energy market.
Wow. So if you're in the manufacturing space, you've probably heard of you guys or come across something that you guys are doing. It sounds like you really in a position to be well known in the marketplace. Is that fair?
Yeah, especially in the automotive, aerospace, manufacturing, and mining center in the world. And we've been a part of those markets for well over 6 decades.
And if you're not in manufacturing, you've probably never heard of you guys. Probably the world's best secret.
Right. If you're not in manufacturing, we're just a black box that sits in the corner of a building.
I love it. I love it. Well, we talked a little bit before the show about this idea that manufacturing is definitely a blue collar industry. It's part of the trades. And in most manufacturing companies would be nothing without their people. So I'd love for you just to share with me a little bit about what makes you guys so different? Like, what is it about your people, your processes? What makes you guys really a force to be reckoned with in the manufacturing space?
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons I've been with Dynapower for more than 14 years now. We started out as a family-owned business in the 60s, and through all of our growth, 60 years ago, 100% focused on automotive plating, and now, like I said, global business, all 7 continents, 12 times the size we were 6 years ago or 60 years ago. And through all of that and ownership changes and now being a publicly owned business, we still maintain a private feel and a family-owned feel, which I think is really hard to do, is to maintain that culture. And we've come away.
I love that. Anytime anybody uses the word culture, I start thinking of all these other questions that I want to know. So tell me a little bit about, what does that family feel, that small field culture, how does that show up over at Dynapower? And how does that make you just such a differentiator in the space?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I think internal to the business, we try really hard to, at first feels a little corny, but when you're in the business, it makes a difference. We try to drive values and cultures. We talk about them when we open our meetings. We talk about them in the way we do business. Anything from meaningful appreciation to bring value every day to delivering world-class service. And then we really try to also translate that to our customers. So I've had competitors even try to take it at trade shows. We talk about our customers as family and friends and partners. We don't use the word customer. We try not to, and we bring our daily values that we use in our internal meetings into our customer meetings to really make sure they feel like they're a part of our business.
I love that. And I did a little bit of research too, and I went and I looked at the career section of your website, and I love how you lead with really purpose. You lead with your values. You got to get through all of that to learn about the company and the culture before you get to click on, here's a job that I want to apply for. And so I think a lot of what you're talking about, you're not just talking about it, like you guys are doing it. And I love that, because culture is so important, especially in today's environment, in the manufacturing space, being able to attract the best, keep the best people. And I mean, you're a testament to that. 14 years with the company, they're doing something right.
Yeah. And I'm young, in terms of, the age of people in our company. There's a lot of people that are 25, 30, 40 years in this business, within Dynapower.
Yeah. So you talked about the values, you talked about how you're really just creating these relationships with people, and you don't talk about them as customers, like they're really partners and friends and family, and that kind of stuff. Talk to me a little bit more about that. Like, how can people translate that into the real world? Like, how does that show up? Can you give me some examples?
Yeah. I mean, externally with your customer base, people don't buy on logic, they buy emotion. And so a lot of people forget that, right? You got your line cards, you got your bullets. This is who we are. This is why you want to buy it from us. And this is the value we bring you. And then they stop. People don't buy on that, right? You have to meet those requirements, but that's not where the decision's made, right? And so remembering that in your customer conversations, I think, has been a big part of our business. And then internally, it also helps retain people. We take a lot of time in making sure that not only, as you mentioned on our website, do we share our purpose and make sure that that's the forefront of what we do, we share it internally. Taking the time to remind your manufacturing staff why they're there every day is important, right? For us, like I said, we make a box. And so the guys in our manufacturing shop are incredible. That's where I started, with building the product. And sometimes you got to remind them it's not just a box. It's got to go out in the world, and it makes the part in their car that they look at every day. It makes something that's going to our military to help their family member that's in the Army or the Navy. It's doing things globally that have an impact on their life.
Well, and that is another thing that I noticed looking at your website, is a lot of your jobs are actually not in the US. Like, they are globally. It's a global footprint for you guys. And I'd imagine that creates some additional challenges as you grow and you have different cultures. And I mean, heck, even time zones can be a problem sometimes as you're growing the company and working with your partners and clients. But I mean, just growing a team that's international like that and global is incredible. So let's talk a little bit more about what is it about Dynapower that just is keeping people there, is attracting people? I mean, in the US, you don't have a lot of open jobs. I was surprised by how few jobs you had open in the US. So many manufacturers I talked to, they're like hundreds of open jobs. You guys don't. So you guys are doing something right when it comes to the recruiting and retention of people. Talk to me a little bit about the front line. Like, we talked a little bit about you and how that works, but what is happening on the manufacturing floor that just makes you guys so different?
Yeah, I think it's really comes down to what I mentioned. It's showing people why what they're doing matters, right? And that's one of the things we learned as the generations changed, right? And again, at the risk of sounding
bring up the generations.
Right?
It's a real thing.
Yeah, the generations, before me, they wanted that stable career, decades put in their time, right? Build it up, and it wasn't about what they were doing as much as that stability. And then, my generation, somewhere in the middle, we wanted both. We understood the value, right? We're income driven, but we're also we're emotionally driven. And then you've got the generation behind me that you're trying to hire now into the workforce in their 20s, where it feels like they care more about the why they're doing it than the what it is or what it pays them. So it's getting harder and harder, but it's important to remember when you're hiring somebody, whether they're going to be sitting there tightening the nuts all day or running a process line in a manufacturing plant, or they're out in front of a customer, they need to know why they're doing it. And the further into a manufacturing planet you get, the harder it is for those people to remember why they're there. Because when you're sitting in the same building doing the same thing every day, you forget what it's for. And so continually being able to remind that and drive it is what keeps people there.
I love that. When you were talking, it reminded me of Simon Sinek when he talked about start with why. I don't know if you've ever heard that or seen his TED Talk, but he basically says that people aren't going to care what you do until they care about why you do it.
Right.
And so that purpose, that connecting, that emotional connection is so important. And I love what you said too about the younger generation, like the ones coming into the workforce, Gen Z and some of the youngest millennials, like they really want this sense of purpose. They want to know what kind of impact they're making. And tying that back, I mean, it's probably so easy to sit there and create this one part over and over and over again that goes into another system, that goes into a product that you deliver that now allows someone to create something that's going to get used, right? Like you're so many steps away from the finished product. I can see how people would lose sight of that.
Yeah.
And so tying it back to that purpose and what you're doing to make an impact in the world and keeping those values aligned and those behaviors. I mean, I just love it because it like sums up a lot of the stuff we teach over at Core Matters. It's the same thing. People don't leave jobs. People leave people. They leave bosses and managers and company cultures and toxic leaders. And understanding that if you give people a sense of purpose and you connect with them, they're going to stick with you a whole lot longer. And that's how fast did you say you grew? Like,
we're growing at a 30% annual, 30+% annual rate.
And you said you're like 12 times bigger than you were or something like 6
years ago. Than we were 6 years ago. Right. It's every time we add a market, we exponentially grow. And trying to keep up with that only happens through organically hiring people and hiring people through relationships, right? We target hire people in the markets that we're trying to get into so that they are already in it. They're passionate about it. They understand what we bring to the table. It shortens that curve of trying to teach them the why. They know the why. We're just a part of it. And I imagine
it makes it a lot easier to connect with the customer base in that local area because they're already there. They understand the culture, the language, everything else. I love that you guys have that insight into that versus saying, hey, we're going to take people from another country and throw them over another country and hope they figure it out, which I do see a lot of international companies do, because they don't know how to hire in the local market and they don't know how to connect with people locally. So
it's hard. It's hard. And, we've been fortunate. 50% of it is, all of it's intentional, but 50% of it's luck, right? And finding those people that are in that market from that space, to your point, that are local, and not having to send somebody from the US to go try to live in Germany and work there for the first time, or live in Mexico and work there for the first time, right? Having the ability where we've had to find those people organically within the market. It's easy to teach our product. It's hard to teach the market and the impact. So if you can find the people that understand that, you can teach them the product.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. There's certain things that you can't or won't teach. And I think that's that love and that passion and that understanding the culture that is so difficult to teach. You can teach them how the product works or give them a spec sheet, like you said.
Right.
So what's the next step for Dynapower or for you? Like what's the future look like for you guys? Where are you going?
So we're going 6 different directions. And really all of it though
right now.
But it's exciting. Again, it comes right back to why people like me have been here for 14 years, because we're never bored. Right? The business is constantly innovating. We're a company that constantly wants to be doing new things because we want to have an impact. We want to get up every day and say, we didn't just sell billions of dollars, right? We made an impact on the globe. I had a direct impact on the energy consumption in a community that I know people live in. And by the way, we made money while we did it, right? And so having that mindset and attitude and continuing to expand our business and innovate is really where we're headed. And for us, it's about helping, and for me specifically in our part of the business, my passion is about trying to help legacy manufacturing businesses in core, blue collar companies, right? I grew up in automotive. I was a mechanic before I worked for Dynapower. And so we have a big leg in that space, and helping those industries figure out how to be energy independent and be part of the new world, right? That's happening, with or without people, it's happening. And we want to be a company that helps those businesses not just survive, but change and grow.
Oh, and I think that's a great philosophy and a great mindset, especially for the younger generation who's grown up going, oh, there's going to be some problems if we don't figure out our energy issues. There's going to be some problems long term if we don't figure out how to solve this sooner rather than later. So I love that that's the direction you're going and that's the foresight that you have. So Matt, tell us, how do people learn more about what you guys are doing, learn more about what you're up to? How can they connect with you? And then is there anything that you could share with our listeners, maybe after they're done listening to this, that would just let them dive a little bit deeper into Dynapower and the impact that you guys are making?
Yeah, absolutely. We're constantly doing presentations in all of the markets we work in. Our business development teams and our applications and our engineering teams are actively involved, constantly trying to give presentations on market integration, what's changing in the markets, how to think differently. We just had one of our lead applications guys and runs our field team did a presentation at the Iron and Steel Conference in Ohio on how to become an energy independent manufacturing facility, and how the world's changing. That's a presentation that's available. I'll make sure you have links so that you can go to that. And then from there, we'll have presentations coming out over the next few weeks on maintenance independence of your equipment in your facility, and then everything that's going on in our clean energy space.
That's fantastic. So if you want to get that information, you're listening to this right now, make sure you come back, go to our website, corematters.com, so you can download this stuff, because we'll have all the links in the show notes. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show today. I learned a lot. I get excited when I learn about companies that are doing what you're doing and think like you do. So thank you for sharing that. I know that everybody listening got a ton of value from it.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.